Steve, glad to have you on the program, my
Thank
friend.
you so much, Michael.
Well, I was excited to get you on because, here the other day I was watching HGTV, and that's a bad program for me to watch. It
Yeah.
really is,
Sparks a lot of ideas, doesn't it?
It does. And then all of a sudden my wife looks at me and goes, don't even think about it. Don't even start it.
Yeah.
We've been down that slippery road so many times, and it ends up costing us more when we don't have somebody with experience. And so I was glad to get you on the program because I know I'm not the only one out there that gets these wonderful do-it-yourself ideas, and then all of a sudden it's like, this didn't work out the way I intended it. And not only that, guess what? I've got to call somebody back here to fix this issue.
Yeah, things seem so simple sometimes, and they're really not that simple.
They're not. They're really not. Steve, walk us through kind of how Real Properties LLC came to be in life and kind of, gosh, all of the things you're tackling across Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, so at a young age of 19, I bought my own home. And
wow.
so that's when this all started. And
Did you hear that back there, Matthew? No, I'm just kidding.
So I felt like it was more important to buy a home than to rent a home.
There you go.
So I bought my first home at 19. I grew up in a little town of Stella, Missouri, in southwest Missouri.
Stella, you know right where it's at.
Yeah,
Dot the road.
Population 250. And we lived out in the country. So that kind of tells you a little bit about where I grew up. But, living in a rural community like that, we had to do all of our own maintenance. You didn't have all the services and all the people around you like we have here in Bentonville.
Oh, exactly.
And so that's kind of when it started. My dad was very handy. He was very mechanically inclined. He was a businessman as well. So we did all of our own things. And so as I grew up and I bought my own home, I began doing those repairs myself.
Well.
And then as I grew older, I had some investment properties. So I got to the point, I then went into the corporate world and spent 30 years in the corporate world. And I was also in the Army Reserve for 22 years. So I retired in 2011. I'm a combat veteran. So I served in Afghanistan and Guantanamo Bay, Cuba in Camp X-Ray.
Hats off to you, Steve, and thank you for serving our country.
Thank you very much.
Phenomenal. And so I was going to ask and kid you a little bit about our good friend on Tool Time, Tim the Tool Man. And I thought there are so many folks that in one sense are almost within that do-it-yourself kind of the Tim the Tool guy type person, but yet they really don't have the skills. And here it is, you've had life skills.
Sure.
You started out at home in a small town community, like you said, didn't have these services. All of a sudden you're in the service and you're, obviously working with your hands, not only serving our country, but, there's all sorts of things that folks don't know that go on in our armed services where you're grabbing a wrench and you're grabbing pliers and sockets and all sorts of stuff, and you're after it.
You're very resourceful.
But here's the dichotomy flip for me anyway, for you, Steve, is you all of a sudden went into corporate America. So wow. I'm like, so was there a time then you kind of put that on the back burner in terms of doing that, or was it that you've always just kind of kept around repairing and being involved in using tools and all of that?
Yeah. Over the years, I've just grown my tool arsenal, if you will, and my skills.
And your skills.
If I don't know how to do it, I figure it out and I do it and I learn from it. And so the corporate America, a door opened and I got into the corporate world and I've been in the corporate world and the business standpoint of that the last 30 years. So that's really helped me in starting this business. And so I quickly found that, as being in the corporate world, time is very valuable. Time is very limited.
It is.
And trying to find somebody to do the job, to do it right, to show up when they say they're going to show up, and then to be fair and honest about it, that was a very big challenge for me personally. And I had some bad experiences. And so, I saw a big need in Northwest Arkansas for that. Convenience. A company you can rely on that does a large volume of different kinds of tasks. because a lot of the companies around here are very limited in what they do. So if you have to do a home remodel, you may be dealing with 6 or 8 different contractors to get that done.
Exactly.
So the strategy behind Real Property Services is to be convenience, a one-stop solution for all your home repair needs. And you work with us. We know who's coming in your house. We know when we're going to be there. We the safety of your kids, your belongings, that kind of thing, is very important. And so that's what we strive, and that's what we do.
Well, it is, Steve, and I got the opportunity to sneak around on your Facebook side. I'm kind of that way. I like to kind of just look and see what's going on.
That's good. I want you to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'll tell you, I was amazed. Roll some of these pictures. Look here. I mean, this was looks like a what I call almost not a circle drive, but a half drive, if you will. You did some wonderful, it looks like, landscaping there, and not only that, I thought maybe you could walk us through this just a minute and see if you remember that project. I'm sure it was quite a few projects ago that
we do a lot of volume of projects. Very thankful for that. But the landscaping, that was a job in Neosho.
Okay.
We basically stripped all the existing landscaping, took all the landscaping blocks out. We installed the concrete formed edging.
Okay.
And backfilled that with quality topsoil, and we planted about 75 plants.
75. There looked like there was quite a few there.
Yeah, all around the house and that circle drive, and there's also a picture on or a section on the left around the corner.
Okay.
We placed rocks in the landscaping. We covered it with rubber mulch, and we have automatic waters in there, so it's really a hands-free. Turnkey setup. We did it all. Thankfully, we have tractors, we have backhoes, we have dump trailers. We've got the equipment, and we've got the skilled team to do it.
So. That's very important. This next slide, I think, this was interesting to me. This is something that people face a lot of coming into a garage where basically the house is kind of up, if you will. And so here, it looks like you got into a great project of adding some steps in there.
Yeah, and it seems real small, and we do small jobs and large jobs.
Exactly.
But this particular one, the original builder had put in a solid concrete set of steps coming out the door and going to the right. So it consumed about 6 feet of the garage space, and the homeowner could not pull their vehicle in the garage.
Wow.
So we had to get 3 jackhammers in there and jackhammer 2,500 pounds of concrete out of that space. And then we built this set of steps along the left side of the wall, which would give him easy access into his door, but also allow him to park in his garage.
That is phenomenal, I'll tell you. And that gets back to you were just talking about. See, what started out as quote unquote a small project became a little bit more in depth in terms of pulling away that concrete, jackhammering, doing those things.
Right.
And getting it to where, look, he could get his car in, and you opened up that space. So here it was, not only were you doing this project, but this almost became a remodel, if you will, in one sense. So those are great things that you handle. We've got some other pictures here. This one looks like it was an addition onto the house, maybe of a carport or garage as such, and I'll tell you, the design on it was very nice. It was more than just some companies when you call them, Steve, and you say, look, I'd like this addition put on, but sometimes they don't think about the aesthetics of that, and that's what I liked about this. There was the thought process of the aesthetics put into this.
Yeah, fit and finish is very important. The quality that you don't see in the framing, in the materials that are used is important, but it's just as important to get it cosmetically right as well. So that particular one is a freestanding roof over the back porch. So now that they've got a nice living space there, it's structurally very strong, and it's going to be there for many years to come.
Well, and it's beautiful the way it was just laid in there. It's almost like it was put there when the house was built.
Yeah,
you did a fantastic job. Here, I really liked this. I think there were several pictures that came along. I think, and I may be mistaken on this, but this was definitely a deck that was added on to the home. And I loved the finish on this deck with regards to not only the floor finish, but also the it appears to be in there wrought iron I believe, and I could be wrong in my terminology there because I'm not a handyman. So but I will say I liked the design of the deck.
Yeah.
Walk us through this a little
Yeah,
bit.
so that one, that originally started as basically a walkway on the right-hand side where you see the steps.
Okay.
It was just about a 4-foot wide walkway getting from the edge of the house to the sliding glass door and also to the screened-in porch. So we tore that off and built this deck made out of 6x6 treated pine posts.
Fine.
It's got composite decking, and we also top cap the railing with a composite decking. That way it's maintenance free. It doesn't rot. It's got a great color. That particular decking, there's other pictures on our Facebook page that show the color of that. So it's got browns and black streaks, and it looks fantastic. The metal, they're called balusters.
Okay.
Those
See,
are,
I had it all wrong.
those are, those are plastic coated aluminum rails. So they're also no maintenance. Other than cleaning them, you don't need to repaint them. But the construction of that deck is second to none. It's super strong. It's tied in to the house. It's flashed properly. We see a lot of work being done, but the things you don't see are not done properly, which causes rot. It causes decay to the exterior of the home. There's a lot of things that go into a project like this that if you don't do it right can cost you thousands and thousands of dollars down the road.
Well, exactly. And the other thing that most amazes me, and yet this is why we have all these wonderful commercials on TV talking about, look, you should locate the lines, both electrical, utility lines, all of that, no matter what project you're doing, in order to know what you're getting into.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure, Steve, you could tell me stories about people who don't locate those lines, and then when they start digging or they start trying to do something, all of a sudden
yeah, they can be very, very, very dangerous if you don't locate. And you might be in there with a little hand shovel getting something dug, but sometimes these fiber lines are just below the surface. Gas lines I've seen very shallow, water lines, so you can cause a lot of havoc to yourself and others. If you hit a fiber line, you might be taking out thousands of people down your street.
Exactly.
It's very important to do the job right.
One of the other pictures I want to roll here, which I just thought was phenomenal, was what you did with this project here, and we'll roll through several of these, but this was, I'm going to assume, on one of our beautiful lakes here in northwest Arkansas.
Yeah.
And this became quite a project, it looked like. As we roll through some of these pictures, all of a sudden we're adding in the decking, and then this wonderful staircase you've got going up to the house, if you will, connecting into the walkway there. I don't know if folks can kind of see that, but
if you look at that picture closely, that's a person standing there in front of the stairwell.
Yes.
And you have to zoom in to see that. So that gives you the scale of this deck. This was a fun project. It was on Lake Windsor down in Bella Vista. And the homeowner met with them. They had a vision. They had so we kind of walked through the project, and there was an existing dock there, very small.
Okay.
They really enjoyed the time on the water, but they wanted something that was more functional. So what we did was we added a 25-foot boat slip that's beneath this deck, and that went over the water. So we had to erect this thing over the water. So we used 4-inch by 4-inch steel tubes, 20-foot long, 1/4-inch wall thickness, and we put 12 in the water. And
12 in the water.
And we built a scaffolding over the water, and this started in January. January 25th is when we started the project.
So needless to say, putting those 12 in the water, did someone get wet putting those in the water?
No, we never got wet doing it. Got close, but never got.
That would have been a chilling experience.
But we knew, based on the size and scope of the project, we had to build something that was very, very strong and can withstand the wind, the rain. We'd get some severe storms, especially a lake. You get a lot of wind there. and you get a lot of people on this deck. It's huge. So, so we built this structure out of steel beams. We welded it on site.
Okay.
We had to barge all the material in on the water because you can tell the slope is very steep.
Exactly.
And there was no way to get the volume of materials down to that project. So we had to barge everything from the dam of Lake Windsor to the site location.
Phenomenal.
So we built the 25-foot boat slip, built the structure, and then we built this upper deck, which is a sun deck, and it measures 25 feet wide by 45 foot long, and it ties back into the shoreline. And it's got two sets of stairwells, so you see the one coming from the walkway above, but there's also a secondary stairwell that goes down to the original deck, or the dock down below. But it's got under that decking, we've got a gutter system that captures all the water that goes through the boards, through the decking boards, captures that water and goes down gutters on each side, back down in the lake, so that when you pull your boat in underneath it, you don't get any drips and no debris. So,
phenomenal.
but that one, if you get on Lake Windsor, go check it out. You won't miss it. Let me just tell you that. It's a great project, and it was really a fun time and a pleasure to build it.
Well, giving us a little insight, when you were looking at this, these folks had a vision. I mean, kind of, you're walking down and looking at, what they're envisioning, and you're all standing there. Did you envision having to barge this material in at that point? I mean, here it is. I'm sure that's not an everyday occurrence to be barging stuff in when you're doing a lake project, but
yeah. Any time you start a project, whether it's a home remodel, a deck, a fence, landscaping, I mean, whatever it may be, you've got to walk through all the variables, all the things you'll need. How do you get it there? Logistics, I mean, time, materials. I mean, there's many things you got to think through. And that is something on this project that we really underestimated because, generally we pull up with the trailer, we unload our material, we're right there, we build the project. But this one was a completely different animal, and it was fun. We learned a ton from it, and the customer's happy. And that's, at the end of the day, we want to ensure the customer is 100% happy, and we always guarantee our work.
Well, Steve, I mean, we've kind of sampled a few projects here. Kind of walk us through just kind of the various levels of things that you can kind of assist folks with, as an example. I mean, I loved looking at your card. I'm like, it's all listed right there on your card. I mean, I'm not even sure there's another. If you added a service, I'm not sure on your card where you put it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, time is valuable and convenience is important. So we want to be your one-stop solution for a homeowner or a landowner. So we've got tractors with brush hogs. We've got a full-size backhoe. So any kind of land excavation, that kind of thing, we can do that for you. Whether you need a deck, a fence, a handyman, a full remodel, we can do all those things for you. So, we get a lot of unique requests. People look at our Facebook and they're like, wow, they did this. Well, I've got a vision. So we love to go in and talk through with the customer, really whatever the case may be.
I liked that. That was phenomenal. I thought this, walk us through this one real quick and talk to us a little bit about this.
Yeah, so this is a home down in Fayetteville.
Okay.
And I got called from a friend of mine who's a great roofer, and we don't do roofs. That's one thing we don't do. But I've got the guy for you.
There you go.
But this particular home, they had went in and they had some roof leaking and such, and so right beside the white walk-in door there's a light fixture, and the light fixture was hanging down. And the friend of mine, Aaron with Pinnacle Roofing, he called me and he said, Steve, this may be a job too small. And I said, no, that's fine. I'm headed down to Fayetteville anyway. Let me go take a look at it. And the light fixture was hanging off the wall, and I looked in behind the siding, and it had been repaired before. Well, I look in there, and the studs are completely rotten.
Oh, no.
And I told the homeowner, I called her, and I said, ma'am, I said, I really don't know how bad this is, but from what I'm seeing, you've got major rot in your wall. So we just started peeling this thing back like an onion. And I said, as we go through the project, we'll keep you informed, and we'll send you pictures, or you can come out and we'll walk you through it, but we want to inform you as we walk through this. So we ended up tearing the siding off, just a couple layers, let's go up, and then we still saw rot, continue to peel back, and found that that particular house has a deck above the garage. So the flashing that was put in there was not put in properly, which allowed the water to leak into the wall. And this house was only 6 years old. So this project is listed on our Facebook page, and I've got pictures and captions along the project to kind
Yes.
of, I like to educate our customers, because a lot of people don't know what it takes to rebuild these kinds of things, and really what does the effect of water do on your home, and it's terrible.
It is, and here it was. This was something small. You thought, oh, running down here, going to kind of check and, you know, remount this light, not a big thing. All of a sudden, as you just indicated, you start peeling back the onion,
Yeah.
the layers of the onion, and all of a sudden, boom, here you go. You discover it's the flashing. This became several weeks probably, or at least a few days anyway. And the homeowner's like, all I wanted was the light repaired.
Right, and this particular project, the homeowner mentioned that they had called several people and couldn't get anybody out there to look at it.
See?
And so we went out and looked at it. We ended up peeling all the siding off that. We basically rebuilt that entire wall of that home.
Wow.
But in doing that, we increased the header height, so we put a larger header in.
Yes.
We spanned across the entire opening of the garage door and the walk-in door, where before it was two separate headers. So structurally, we improved the construction of the wall.
There
So
you go.
it's even more strong than what it was before. But we put it all back together. We painted the house, and you worked with me. We
Well,
did it all.
It looks fantastic. I'll tell you, Steve, hats off to you, because this is phenomenal work, and this is where it gets to putting your heart into it, having the right folks, the right equipment, and being able to complete that project in a timely fashion from beginning to end, and doing it the right way. And that's what people are looking for, especially this day and age when they're trying to get things done, when they've moved into a home, and all of a sudden, oh, we want to do this, or we want to change that. And here you are offering those services, and that's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. How can folks get in touch with you?
Well, we've got a Facebook page. You can reach us at Real Property Services LLC.
Okay.
There's a button on our Facebook page, Get Quote.
Okay.
You can also reach me on my cell phone.
All right.
My number is 479
Okay.
426 6206.
All right. Well, fantastic. Steve, it has been a great time having you on here and really walking those folks who enjoy, if you will, doing it yourself, but then all of a sudden really needing the professional, the doctor, if you will, to come in and,
Right.
and really solve the surgery, sewing up what was started and torn apart.
Right.
So,
Well, thank you, Michael. I've
I'll tell
enjoyed
you,
being here today.
and you've done a fantastic job. Folks, when you need the right repairs done, doing it the right way, don't do it yourself. Call my good friend here, Steve, with Real Property LLC, and he will get you taken care of the right way, the quick way, and the correct way. Folks, here in just a few moments, my good friend Aaron Hager is going to be having some wonderful opportunity of time with John Chauvel from Weichert Realty. John's going to walk us through what's going on in the market right now. And I'll tell you, Steve, you know that when it comes to improving the value of one's home, guess what? It's also, you know, doing it not only from the outside, but the inside. And I know that's where you come in again. It's really just touching up and getting folks ready as well.
Right.
For putting that home on the market, or simply when they've moved in after buying the home, it's like, oh, well, we want to remodel this. And guess what? They can call you.
Yeah, I've got a lot of realtor friends, so we do pre-home inspections if people are wanting to sell their home. We don't do the inspections, but we do the repairs based on the inspection
Based
report.
on the inspection.
Or if you have a home owner that came in and bought a house and they've got a full list of 50 items on the list that they need those done, and we do a lot of those too.
There you
so
go.
it's all about convenience
There you go.
and doing the right
Steve,
job.
thank you again so much.
Thank you,
Great
Michael.
to have you on the program, and I know I'll have you back because guess what? There's always something going on in Northwest Arkansas.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right.